Cybermans will attack.
I have to say I remember the Cybermen because I thought they were particularly sexy because they were so masculine. And then they were in these kind of fetish suits, these kind of silver suits.
Monsters do divide into more mechanical monsters like the Daleks and the Cybermen, and the more organic ones, like the Drashigs, which were 40-foot high caterpillars with faces like dogs and horns as well, and made this ghastly roaring noise.
The Draconians, for instance, were an example of the people monster. They were an intelligent being, an intelligent alien race, and they had morals and a culture and a way of life, you know, rather like sort of Japanese samurai, with codes of honor of their own. And as far as they were concerned, they were the good guys, and man was getting in the way.
I have permission to address the Emperor.
Dawn.
Please, silence! Why I like these particular monsters better than any other is because you can see the human eye and you can see the mouth, and therefore you get real, true expression. Unlike the Ice Warriors, in my opinion, or the Cybermen who just had a slit. You just heard the voice. But here you can see the mouth. Will you speak to me, sir?
My life at your command.
There you are, you see. Perfect example. Eyes can be seen, mouth can be seen. That's why they were my favourite monsters.
Well, of course, I have made a lot of children's programs, things like Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, Joe 90 and so forth. But the real tragedy of my life is that my son, Jamie, is...
a Doctor Who fan.
Yes, a Doctor Who fan.
The biggest joy is that a year and a half ago, Sadie started to notice Doctor Who, to watch it, and
oh my God, her
you enjoyed
outfit.
it.
Yeah.
Together with Doctor Who, we went through all those 250,000 entries, and it takes quite a long time to look through that many. And the winner is really a very new idea, and here it is. It's a steel octopus. It's been designed by Karen Dagg.
We sent this design to the BBC's Special Effects Workshop, and so here's a life-size model of Karen's steel octopus.
We actually ran into a great deal of trouble over one story where things did come to life which were normal. There was a troll doll that when it got warm came to life and tried to strangle people, and we got a lot of flack from that because children were really scared.
To make the Doctor look very clever.
Of course.
Wait to hear her without an accent.
To let the audience know what's going on.
You're getting there, what else?
To reaffirm the patently obvious.
That's another size of it.
Yes, thought we'd agree there. You do know there's a lot of Cybermen following us.
Yeah, I know that. I knew that.
Do you know what? I really like the Sixth Doctor.
My first appearance in Doctor Who was in 1965 in the Dalek Master Plan, in which I
And
played
little did he know that he would then appear on the Sarah Jane Adventures.
When if it's one of your prison panics, surely the guards and warders there to help us?
There aren't any. The only craft which stopped there are prison ships bringing out the criminals. If we crash there, we'll be left there to rot the rest of our lives away.
You must try to land softly somewhere.
I can't. This vessel is out of my control.
And they wanted to do a sort of, I suppose you call it a dummy run, to see if the idea of unit would work, whereby this army outfit would assist the Doctor.
Well, since the Yeti I've been in charge of an independent intelligence group that we call UNIT, United Nations Intelligence Task Force.
You mean you're like a world secret police?
Not quite. We don't actually arrest people. We just investigate them.
You could call it not Dad's army, but Briggs' army. You have a brigadier, a captain, a sergeant, and that's it.
So good. I just don't think you just don't get this in the later Doctors.
Know thine enemy. Admirable advice.
Sophie! Sophie!
He's mad, isn't he?
Ah! Fifi from Happiness Patrol.
Get back, Doctor.
I knew at once. You see, the real Sarah wasn't wearing a scarf. What have you done with Sarah?
This actually accusation has been frequently levelled at the Doctor that he's somewhat sexist or patronising in his attitude to female companions. It's not without a certain amount of truth, I would say. You couldn't put your hand on your heart and swear that this was not so.
You found something?
Oh, Polly, I only wish I had.
So
bet
she
Liz
could talk to the
inspired a lot
Doctor
of
on
young
equal
girls.
terms. Well, that was fine. They could discuss things, and the science fiction fans or the scientists in the audience would know exactly what they were talking about, but the majority of the audience wouldn't. And so, quite deliberately, we decided to change it.
I'm your new assistant.
We had the idea of him having a sort of a savage as a companion. In other words, doing a sort of Professor Higgins, Pygmalion, have that kind of relationship. The idea really was to make the girl assistant more, less sort of perils of Pauline, and more able to be more dynamic, actually. I mean, I wanted a bit more of a sort of dynamic role model for the girls who watched the program.
Because the main problem with K9 was that he was designed for one story, which was set all inside a studio. When Tony Harding, the designer, actually put K9 together, didn't know that he was actually going to go out on location at various times, and he'd have to go over grass and pavements and gravel paths, and because he had to be completely redesigned, and there were still occasions where he would get stuck.
I find it weird when they call him like Doctor Who, because he's just the
decided
Doctor.
on a cricketing motif.
Peter Davison and the cricket was quite an interesting sort of concept, and obviously if a series was on during the winter and I was away on tour, I'd get the wife to tape them for me and I'd sit down and watch the whole sort of winter series.
There was a lot of special effects put onto Peter.
Edric?
You mustn't die, Doctor.
No, my dear Doctor, you must die. Die, Doctor.
They have to match it up completely, don't they?
Basically, then the new Doctor steps into the shoes of the old Doctor by re-emerging in exactly the same spot.
You really had to know where you were, no messing about at rehearsals at some point, because once you're on the studio floor, the special effects had to be the first consideration. Rehearsals, they were always fun. They were always wonderful fun. We didn't have to think of normal things. We were saving the universe.
This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords, keeper of the legacy of Rassilon. And I wanted to bring back the anger of the first Doctor. He was crabby, old man when he arrived, and I thought that was rather good. But I wanted to mix them all up and make this cake. We all have a universe of our own terrors to face.
I face mine on my own terms.
But don't you want to know what happened here?
No!
You've learned something you didn't recognize when you were 13.
Like what?
The nature of the horror that you sensed here.
And I just felt under my hands this kind of a crack.
Get out! Move back! I want to everybody get back! Move back! Get the pump in! Get the pump in!
But it was actually Sylvester who sort of saved my life, because nobody really realised what was happening, and he shouted, "Get her out of there," and they reached down and grabbed me.
That was the only time I've ever been heroic in my life.
That's it. Doctor Who. 30 years, who would have thought it? Things come back to haunt you just when you least expect it. Go, now!
My prisoners! The Daleks have command of the Tardis!
Okay, so that was so wonderful because it was like a reminiscing about the show, but also they had that little boy who was playing the part of a little boy in his imagination, and that was really lovely. I wonder if he's gone into acting now. It's really nice for me because I just haven't gone and done much. I get sent lots of links and stuff, but I haven't watched like interviews or anything with any of the cast, so it's really nice when I get to do that. It was interesting as well hearing from the 6th and 7th Doctor that they pulled from the 1st Doctor, because I got that with the 6th, and I think with Twin Dilemma it went a little bit too far. But with the 7th Doctor, I wouldn't have thought that he pulled from the 1st, but actually in those moments, I guess he did. It also solidifies for me that I just think the earlier classic Who was better. However, excuse that car alarm. However, I do still think that the 5th Doctor had some incredible moments, and so did the 6th and the 7th, but I need to just save my whole analysis of all of them for another video, because I'm just going to do, I think I'm going to do just like a big talk about my opinions of all the Doctors, and I'm going to try and rank them into like a favourites. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but because also it changes, doesn't it? Like the 2nd and 3rd are always going to be my top 2, but there's times when I've watched some like of these Wilderness Years things and I've cried over the 5th Doctor. I never thought that that would happen. There's times when I think about the 6th Doctor and I think, oh, he's got some really good stories. There's times there when I looked at the 4th Doctor and I thought, oh, he had some good ones and some good companions. So, you know, there's just so much to talk about with Doctor Who. That was really lovely though. I loved seeing Sarah Jane and her daughter, because I'm pretty sure her daughter does the voice, like does the audio adventures as Sarah Jane. It was lovely seeing Nicholas Courtney, who, did you hear me at the beginning? Who's doing the voiceover? I kept thinking that whole way through. I was like, I know this voice. It's the Brigadier Marie-Clare. It was so nice seeing Victoria and Jamie together. Yeah, that was just a really nice documentary, a great idea. And I'm sorry if I didn't talk too much, but I was just very invested. It's just really nice seeing all of the behind the scenes and, you know, hearing like the producers and the writers and stuff talk about subjects like, you know, how the female companions, what was their use towards the early stages of Doctor Who, and was it just to look a certain way? And, you know, we could talk about that as well. Like, you know, obviously they were to look a certain way, but you could all, that was the same with the male companions. They were there to swoon over. So yeah, really great. It does make me want to rewatch it though, if that is the only issue. Like when I saw Leela, I was like, oh gosh, like you just forget about, you don't forget about companions, but you just focus on the ones that you've just seen. So yeah, it was nice also seeing like some of the 7th Doctor moments, because obviously I only finished the 7th Doctor, I'd say like 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's not been long, maybe 6 weeks ago. So he's still very fresh. I need to do my the Josh Snares ranking of like the 7th Doctor episodes. I mean, by the time this goes out on YouTube, it will be out on Patreon, but I need to do that because I need to actually write down my markings. And I'd like to go back through as well. I don't know how I would do it. I'd have to work out an average. I'd have to probably, I don't know how I would do it, because obviously some Doctors have got way more episodes than the other, but if I took like the 5 lowest scores from each Doctor, could I then figure out who was my lowest ranking according to like my ratings? Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. I'll figure something out. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that, and I don't know what's next in the Wilderness Years for me to watch. Might be a comic relief thing. You'll have to let me know. Curse of the Fatal Death or something like that? I don't know. But I will see you very soon for another reaction.